Hello, everyone. This is Alee Attoe with your connection to Source. It's a beautiful day here in Ontario, Canada. I hope you guys are having a great day as well. Today, we're going to talk about the idea of what it is to live in a stream of well-being. So before I really get going, I'll just introduce myself a little bit. I am a coach and instructor with BestLife Creation Society. BestLife is an incredible mastermind of people who are consciously and wonderfully working on expanding into our best selves. And the overflow out of our mastermind group are these beautiful Facebook Lives, workshops, all kinds of stuff that we just get to share with the rest of the world. Oh, hi, Tinica, Jen, and Scott. Nice to see you guys. I see there's someone else on as well, but for some reason, I can't always see who's on. So welcome to everyone that's here. And if I don't acknowledge you, it's not because I don't want to. It's just because for some reason, I can't see you all. Yeah, so I want to talk today about this idea, this concept that we constantly live in a stream of well-being and what that means for us in our day-to-day lives. So I got this beautiful little book. Some of you might know that a lot of us members of BestLife and non-members too, hi Tracy, we went to this event to see Abraham Hicks in person in Denver, Colorado just a few weeks ago. And I picked up this really, really sweet little book. It's Manifest Your Desires. It's 365 ways to make your dreams a reality. And it's like a daily devotional, but I don't really use it like that. I just flip through and find things that I want to read, because there's just these, and look at this, guys, the illustrations are so pretty. I don't know if that's picking up very well, but there's just these little things that you can kind of open up and meditate on and let soak in. And as I was thinking about this Facebook Live today, one of the ones I found was this. It says, and most important, you now remember that well-being is the basis of your world. Okay, pause there. Well-being is the basis of our world. Let's pause and think about what that means for a minute. That means that our world, despite what we've been told, oh yeah, it's such a fun book, Danica. Despite what we've been told, that our world is based in well-being. Now, this is really interesting because it's only been the last 300 years or so since kind of Darwin came out with his theory of evolution, which really was just a theory. But what Darwin's theory of evolution did is it really started us in this idea that our world is based in competition, in survival of the fittest. But if you go before that, you look at a lot of indigenous cultures, they actually really believe that the world was based on mutual cooperation. And more scientists now, this is just my little nerdy excerpt on the side, more and more scientists now in studying history and nature and ecology, they're really finding that, even outside of these spiritual ideas that we're opening up to more and more, that even in nature, that the world is not based in competition. It's based in mutual cooperation, which I just think is so beautiful. And so what Abraham is telling us, which is basically this teacher, this collective consciousness that is part of God's source energy speaking to us, is that our world actually is not and never has been founded in competition. It's been founded in well-being, meaning that we came here full of, like before we were born into these physical bodies, full of knowledge that really the universe is completely full of good intentions towards us, of a desire for us to do well. We came here to this earth to, in a physical form, enjoy that sense of well-being from this particular, in a human body, vantage point. And every single second and millisecond that we're alive, our God, source, higher power, there's so many, wonderful names for that connection to the divine and that connection to the eternal, 100% has a focused beam of well-being, of good intent, of love, of wanting us to do well, to feel well, to expand into the most joyous, alive versions of ourselves that we can. Okay, so that was a pause. We're only a little bit through this quote. Okay, so I'm going to start over. And most important, you now remember, and it says remember because, again, at some point in our existence, we knew this, and we probably knew this as kids, or as babies, but we tend to forget. So this is a reawakening, a re-remembering of this well-being. And most important, you now remember that well-being is the basis of your world, and that unless you're doing something that is disallowing it, then well-being is your experience. You may allow it or resist it, but only a stream of wellness, abundance, clarity, and all good things that you desire flow. Whew, I love that so much. So that wellness is already here for us. That abundance is already here for us. It is with us now. It has always been behind us. It's always been before us. What Abraham is telling us is that we allow or disallow that wellness, that abundance, that clarity into our lives. So I kind of was thinking, like, what is that like? It's kind of like if you're in a shower, if you're just in a shower and the water is the perfect temperature and you just feel so soothed and you feel so good. And you guys know so many times our inspired ideas come from being in the shower because we're so relaxed and we're not resisting anything. We're just allowing ourselves to feel good, right? So if you imagine the stream of well-being kind of like a shower, well, what happens if you stick half of your body out of the shower and half your body in the shower? Well, you start getting cold. And usually what you do then is you notice, oh my gosh, my arm is out of the shower. It's getting really cold. I want to get back in here. So our senses tell us when we're out of that stream of the shower. Now, that's kind of how we can use our emotions when we are feeling dissatisfied or angry or discontent. Those are meant to be emotions that say, just step back in the shower. It's okay. The shower's here. It's always on. It's always going. It's always running. You just have to step back into it. Now, kind of what happens to us, though, in life is that we might, if we haven't been awakened to these ideas before, we might have stepped out of the shower at some point in our lives and not realize that the shower was there, that it was running. It's running. It's always there for us. We might have stepped out of the shower. We might have forgotten how good it feels to be in the shower. So that's part of us waking up as people, as societies, as a human race, to remember, to understand that this is here for everyone, in every place, in everywhere across the earth. Stepping into that stream of well-being that comes from our source, that comes from our creator, from our God. And knowing that no matter what we've done in the past, no matter what it might, maybe if we do step out of the shower and we do something that we realize is not who we want to be, it's not aligned with who we are, but that shower stays on regardless. So what I mean by this, sorry guys, there's someone weed whacking. I don't know if you can hear it. So what this means is that we have such incredible freedom to learn and to grow. So let's say that something comes up in your life and you start having a negative emotion. Okay. It's no big deal. And, maybe it feels really hard to jump from that negative emotion to feeling like ecstatic and aligned and all that stuff. all of that, that's okay. You don't have to put a bunch of pressure on yourself like, oh no, I don't feel good. It's okay to take a breath. It's okay to take a minute and feel that emotion. Because you know what? That stream of well-being is not going to shift. So it's okay to feel that emotion and acknowledge it. And then, when it feels right, try to connect back into your source, try to connect back into the divine, into kind of coming home to yourself and think about, okay, well, what can I do that will kind of help me get out of this? What can I do that will help me feel a little better? What can I do to help get back into that stream of where I'm feeling that well-being? That stream of well-being is always there. Again, it's how much we're allowing or disallowing it, how much we're letting ourselves be fully in that stream of it. And so I love this so much, because it means that we are so supported. We are so 110, 120, 200 times supported in everything that we do. And that although, it's easy for us as people, and we're kind of taught sometimes to look back and to think about the things that we've done that have made us who we are now, and this happened because of this and all of that stuff, because our mind sometimes is trying to figure out, how do we move forward? How do we take the next step? There's nothing really wrong with that, except that, maybe accept is a strong word, but I just find, and I think a lot of us at BestLife has just found, is that if you can just kind of get yourself back into that, no, everything's perfect stream of well-being, your source, your inner being, that place that I like to call home within myself, is always looking forward and not really looking back. It's not looking back at mistakes you've made in the past. It's not looking back on your circumstances. It's always looking forward, and let's move forward to the next thing and the next thing, and let's just keep expanding. And I really like this too, because it just helps us really, again, realize how supported we are, how powerful we are, how much there is for us to experience. Now, I think what's interesting too is this also gives us the freedom to approach even the things that we might consider unpleasant in life in a new way too. So for instance, we talk a lot here about the power of feeling good and trying to stay in alignment with things that feel good. And something that comes up sometimes is people say, well, you know what, doing the dishes doesn't feel good to me, or I hate doing my I hate doing my taxes, or me joking around with myself, like, oh, if it doesn't feel good to get up in the morning and make my kids breakfast, do I still have to do it? Maybe I don't have to do it anymore. And and so there's kind of can be this little bit of does that mean that I get to shirk kind of the daily things, or the things that I perceive as not being fun, if they're part of my job, if they're part of taking care of my family, if they're part of my responsibilities as a volunteer or community member or parent or whatever it is. And so what I've really come to think about and realize with this is, it's not that let's come back to this. It's all about continuing to check in with your source, with your inner being, and staying in that place of understanding that you are constantly in a stream of well-being and can stay in that place of alignment. Now, if you are starting from there, then you can be very, very much guided on what it really means to do things that feel good to you. So I know that every day I'm going to get up earlier than I maybe normally would if I didn't have children, and help those children, because they're pretty young, still get ready for their day and do their chores, and that later on I'll be making dinner, and then there's like the normal stuff of life. And I don't get to, because I came here as a physical being, I don't get to shirk all of those physical being responsibilities, right? I still need to eat. I have not yet found a way to not eat food just by thinking about food, right? Or fill up the gas tank in my car without just through the power of my mind. If any of you figure that out, I'd love to know about it, because that's an incredible place to be. But it does mean that in these day-to-day tasks that I know are coming up that sometimes maybe I don't feel like doing, if I tune back in to that stream of well-being, if I tune back into that alignment, that I might be able to find joy in the tasks that I normally wouldn't have liked, right? Suddenly, because I'm in the present moment, I'm with myself, and there's that blending of that, my inner being and the part of me that's interacting with the world, I might find that those things are not such a big deal anymore, right? So feeling good doesn't mean that you have to get rid of the things that you don't want to do. And it doesn't mean that you necessarily get to get rid of your responsibilities. It just means tuning in. And when the things come up that you kind of know you need to do, you can be guided. So sometimes that means that you know from your sense of your inner being that that thing you have to do, you kind of know that you can put it off for a little while, because you know it would feel better to do something else right now. It doesn't mean you're getting rid of that other thing. It just means that, oh, I just feel guided right now to go on a walk first, or do this other task first. And that I don't understand necessarily why I don't want to do this thing right now, but maybe if I just hand that over to the universe, it will feel better later, or maybe it'll resolve itself completely. You know, I've had this happen a lot of times where there was something I just felt like the timing wasn't quite right to do it. I put it aside. And then when I felt inspired to do that thing, when it came around, I felt so much better about it. Same task, same circumstances, but my feelings about it were really different because I tuned into my inner being and I followed an inspired path of alignment that made sense to me. So, you know, you can still feel good and be a responsible, conscientious person, a really good friend, a good family member. And if you're tuning into that, you will be a better person. You know, you will be more available for your friends and family, because you'll be so centered and grounded in yourself that your love and energy flowing out of you will affect the world around you. But it really all comes back to stepping into that stream of alignment, of knowing, you know, not just in your head, but knowing experientially, you know, knowing from life experience that that stream exists and that you can step into it, you can step out of it. You know, again, you can have your arm out and getting kind of cold in that warm shower and realizing that's unpleasant. I got to get back into this cozy place and just be in this very, very comforting stream of alignment. So yeah, the other thing with that too is that when you're taking inspired action always feels good. It does. It always feels good. And so sometimes you might be inspired to do one of those things on your list that normally won't make you feel good, but it feels right now. You know, for some reason, I remember one of our coaches, Jamie Brooks, one day had some work to do, and she actually felt really inspired to start cleaning her house and rearranging the furniture. You know, it's one of those things on the list of things that I should do that maybe I don't really love doing, but I should do. But because she's tuned into her inner being, she felt inspired to do it. And then she ended up, through that inspiration, rearranging her whole house in a way that felt so good for her, and then had a whole bunch of other inspired ideas come to her as well. I'm just going to read some of the comments. Jen, the power of seeing or feeling something you don't want is that you can shift your focus onto something that feels better. This is deliberate creation. Looking at we don't want is creating by default. Yeah, so we just keep looking at what we do want. So let's say I'm doing something like, and I actually don't mind making breakfast. It's just one of my daily tasks. But let's say I'm making breakfast for my kiddos out of like, yep, this is just one of the things that I need to do. You know, one of the things I could do is think, oh man, I'm so excited because right after I am done making this breakfast, I get to play with my kids for 10 minutes before we get on the bus. and I can start looking forward to that and daydreaming about that while I'm doing the task. So maybe shifting my focus off of the thing that I'm doing, or realizing, giving myself a little like, ooh, once this is complete, I get to go do this next thing. Isn't that awesome? Instead of, I hate chopping food or whatever it is. So that's some of the things that you can do too while you're doing something you might not normally love. Use that moment. I mean, a lot of times those are really repetitious tasks anyways. Use that moment to look forward to the next thing, or daydream about the next thing. Or maybe, this is just funny too. Like if I'm doing laundry, right? It's very repetitious. So it's a minute or two where I can daydream and shift my focus and shift my thoughts. I can also, if I really want to, I can daydream about a day when I can send all my laundry to a laundry service and someone else does it. How good that would feel. You can have so much fun. There's so many opportunities to play with inside your day, with your thoughts and your feelings and the what ifs and wouldn't it be nices of the day in your daily tasks. There's just so much room. And really, how lucky are we and how blessed are we that we have these tasks to kind of fall back on, and be able to have the ability and the time to daydream a little bit and get into that better feeling space. I'm going to see what Dave says. Dave says, by focusing on the positive aspects and keeping our alignment, the things that maybe in the past weren't our preference, we find ourselves more and more in the present moment, because we find more satisfaction in more and more of our life. It tends to become easier and easier with the mundane. I found it becomes less and less mundane and more satisfying. And also, I draw in more things that feel good in every aspect of my life. Yes, absolutely, Dave. And it's that thing too with like the mundane things can even become playful if we shift our focus about what they are. Again, I've spoken about this before. It's sometimes those moments between moments. Sometimes when we're at work or doing something, we're really focused. But then when we get to walk to the break room to grab a coffee, or walking to our car, or taking a moment and sitting in our car, those moments between moments are really a chance to kind of take a little break and to play, to get back into alignment. Abraham Hicks talks about to segment intend, which means knowing you're shifting from one focus and energy in your day to another, and already pre-planning, pre-paving what you want those next moments to feel like. So really, I mean, as I'm talking, I'm so struck by the abundance of opportunity we have in our day to come back, to be in that stream of well-being, to recognize it, to take a moment to bask in it, to let it flow in and through us, to recognize if maybe that last segment of our day we weren't entirely there, and just to take a deep breath, keep moving forward, and step back into that stream of abundance. I'm going to see what Jen says. Oftentimes people confuse the physical effort and actions with the power of their focus. Doing action when you feel bad or when you're pushing against a problem, in essence, creates more bad feelings and more problems, even if the effort produces the result that you're wanting. That's so true, guys. Like I so know this again from daily mundane tasks. I can be irritated that there are 5 baskets of laundry on the ground, and I can just like in a big huff fold it, like so much laundry, I hate doing these daily tasks, fold it, put it away, and at the end of it be in a bad mood, and then look at the next thing I have to do. Now I have to mop the floors, and so I already was kind of generating like a little storm of like frustration and ungratefulness and feeling put upon, and sometimes those things that those mundane tasks can make us feel. Or I could, if I start, the thing is if you start noticing that, it's like starting to notice, I'm not in the shower anymore, I'm not feeling warm and cozy, I want to step back in the shower, that you can then just start to shift that. Oftentimes I just laugh at myself. Oh, okay, right. This isn't what I want, and it's not what I want to create. in my future. And I can do this exact same thing in alignment, in playfulness and joy and satisfaction if I choose to. And I can work myself. If I can't get from playfulness, from frustration, I know I have the tools to get myself there. So everything's perfect. Everything's okay. Versus like that push, rush, gotta get it done feeling. It's our choice. It's completely our choice, you know, and same result. Laundry's folded. It's in the drawers, but how am I going to feel at the end of that? And how is it setting me up for the rest of my day and my future? Really, because we know the biggest indicator of how we're feeling now, the biggest indicator of our future is how we're feeling now, right? We're projecting that out into our future. So the thing too that I love about all of this is that, you know, we're so supported that if we do get into a place where we're a little bit grumpy or upset or ungrateful or whatever, the universe doesn't, it's not like it's counting, it's stacking that up and saying, well, you've had so many incidences of being bad that now we can't give you as much of a shower, or we can't give you as much of a stream of well-being. You don't get as much now because of your actions. No, that stream is constantly, always 100% flowing like a waterfall, never runs dry, always there for you. So again, it's not about the universe or God or creator or source's decision of how much goodness we get. It's always ours. So we really, the best thing we can do if we step into something that doesn't feel good, if we get a little bit stuck there for a little bit, the best thing we can do is just laugh it off and decide to step back into the stream, right? Because it's always there for you, and it doesn't matter who you are, what you've done, that stream is always there for you 100%, right? It's ourselves. We are the ones who tend to say, because I did this, I don't deserve to have that feeling of peace, abundance, and clarity. It's us. It's in our heads. We're taught this a lot of times, that you have to, you only get good things if you do good things based on your behavior. But what we're coming to find with the stream of well-being is that it doesn't matter what you've done, right? It just matters what you allow, what you are going to allow yourself to have in this present moment. And that if you can allow yourself to step into that stream and that well-being and that abundance, that a lot of that stuff that you were carrying just gets washed away, and you get to step back closer and more in alignment with your true self, which is amazing. So don't allow your mind to say you don't deserve, you know, to be in that stream of abundance, because you do. Because if God, source, creator, the divine says it's always here for you 100% all the time, just step into it. Who are you to argue with that, right? It's there for you. That is how this universe is set up. I'm going to read some comments. Tracy says, I love this, Alee. So true, like Jamie's story, following her inspiration to rearrange the furniture opened up the energy flow. That's right. And more great feel goods came in. Yes. Hi, everybody else who's hopped on. The biggest feeling our future is how we're feeling now. So how are you feeling now? Yep, that's a great thing. How am I feeling now? Oh, I need to step back into the shower. Dave says, this is a great practice for us to stabilize. Yes, I love that. In our alignment, feeling good unconditionally means that. This means that feeling good or satisfied no matter what is happening outside of ourselves. And if we need things to always be warm and cozy to feel good, that's needing that condition to feel good. That's slavery. Freedom is the opposite feeling. Freedom is the opposite, feeling good no matter what. Now you're a deliberate creator and not a creator by default. Yes, so I love this too, because what Dave is saying, the stream of well-being exists for us no matter what we're feeling, what we're doing, whatever's going on in our lives. But sometimes we want our conditions, our outside experiences to dictate how we feel. whether our boss approves our proposal, whether we got a raise or not, how much money we make, what we look like, all of these things, our interactions with friends and family, those are outside conditions. And of course, when things are going well, it feels good to us. That's perfectly normal, obviously, and perfectly fine. But Dave's saying, like, what if some of those things aren't going well? What if you don't have everything that you want right now? Can you still be in alignment? Can you still find joy in that knowledge of that stream of well-being without looking to those outside conditions? Because we can't control what other people think, right? And sometimes things come up in life that we aren't expecting. And if we're constantly looking to someone else's approval of our bank balance, of how we compare to what society says is good, then we're always going to be just battered around. Like if you think of putting a little toy sailboat in a big giant storm, that's basically emotionally where we're going to be. Sometimes really up, sometimes really down. But this idea of stabilizing in our alignment means that no matter what the exterior circumstances are, no matter what is going on out in the world, we know that we have a place where that stream of well-being constantly 100% is shining on us. And what that means is that everything is going to work out for us. Everything will work out in our favor. Just coming back to that place that's kind of home inside yourself. And when these things come up, doing our best to try to get back into that place as much as possible. Imagine the things that you want, daydream. And if there's a bunch of circumstances you feel like are out of your control, even if they're not out of your control, hand them over to the universe. Take those things and just hand them over to God, to, Abraham calls this your universal manager. Hand them over to something that's bigger than yourself, that can see all of the facets and details and all the ways to help it benefit you and the people that you love, right? So it's not that these outside conditions, this contrast, that things come up that we don't like, don't happen. But what Dave is saying is the more that we are in alignment, no matter what is going on around us, the better we're going to feel no matter what, right? And that is freedom. It's absolutely freedom, because it means that nobody can tell you how you're supposed to feel. No one can tell you what you're supposed to do. You are not going to be battered around in the storms of life, if there are storms at all. And you're going to always be able to know who you are and what you want, and that you are so supported, right? You are so supported in everything that's going on. So I think everything is for us and from us, says Dave. Awesome. Yes, everything is for us. So even if those things come and we don't understand them, because sometimes something comes up and our mind might say, this is bad, this isn't what we want. But if we stay in our alignment and we allow the universe to turn that thing for our good, whatever it is, I mean, sometimes we can go, oh my gosh, this thing that I didn't think was for me actually really was for me. This thing set up all these circumstances for me to expand into something else that I didn't even know was possible for me. So it's all about staying open, staying stable in our alignment, really understanding, again, from an experiential place, that we constantly have a stream of well-being coming for us, not just for us, but everyone on the planet. We all have access to this. And our job is, as much as possible for ourselves, is to stay in that stream, and to notice when we're not in it, and then use the different tools we have to kind of bring ourselves back in when we're not in alignment. And knowing, again, that stream exists 100% for you, 100% all the time, always focused on you. That brings us so much peace, stability, freedom, a knowingness that things will work out for us. And it means that, every step that we take, Whether we realize it's something we wanted to do or not, it doesn't matter. The universe can still use it to our good and is always forward focused on helping us expanding into the best, most joyful version of ourselves. So I think I'm going to end it off there. If you like this, feel free to share it. If you want more from us, we have a beautiful website. It's www.bestlifecreationsociety.com. You will find information there about our incredible workshops. There are workshops on Mondays and Wednesdays and maybe Tuesdays as well. I know we just changed some of those, but go to the website and you'll see it. And we have a Facebook Live almost every day of the week. Lastly, too, if you want to find out about becoming a Best Life member, which gives you access to multiple classes a day, where you get to learn, interact, and expand with other like-minded people who are also focused on staying in the stream of well-being and seeing how that continues to play out in our lives as a group. It is wonderful. So you have access as a member to those classes, to ongoing mentoring and one-on-one coaching, and all kinds of other benefits as well. So that's it for me for this week. I will see you all next week, and be sure to stay in the shower as much as you can. All right. Love you guys. Bye.